Hello and welcome to Entrepreneurs Coloring Outside the Line. I'm Rafi Chowdhury and I'm going to be your host for the show, and today here with us we have Rob. This is RobLove, and Rob is actually a local comedian from Memphis, Tennessee, and Rob's going to tell us a little bit about himself, his business, how he got started, and his story basically. So Rob, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So what we want to ask you really is tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? How'd you get started? And then tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay. On this windy day here in Memphis, a little rainy and everything, we're gonna make the best of it. Born and raised in Memphis. Was a silly kid. Enjoyed making people laugh. My family, classmates. Eventually, I pursued basketball and other dreams.
Okay.
But eventually I found myself really wanting to spread laughter, show love. That's what I go by, RobLove. So it just became an opportunity or something I wanted to do for fun. I got on stage, and like I said, it didn't go good the first time, and what amazed me by that is that by it not going good, I still wanted to do it again. So I found a place that was more receptive to comedy, and I started doing it, pursuing it full time about 2009, 2010.
Okay, cool. So how is your business set up actually? Are you working with a company or do you have your own brand? How do you do that?
To my understanding and my experience in comedy, it's not just one way you can go. Right now I'm in the foundation of building my fan base. I work with a couple of organizations or a couple of booking agencies, but they don't have me. I'm not exclusive. I'm not locked in. I think building your reputation, building your craft is the first part of anything you're trying to do as far as becoming expert in it or trying to sell yourself or sell your business. So I'm really starting from the ground up. I've been on the ground and just trying to do comedy, trying to get material, trying to be personable, trying to build relationships. And I'm a man of God, so I believe that God has put me in situations where I made some wonderful connections.
Wow. Very nice. So you, as I understand it, your business model seems like you're a freelancer, right? You kind of have gigs that come and go, basically.
That's true.
You're not working with a particular agency and
working all
exclusively. Okay, gotcha. I understand. Cool. So, where do you perform? Can you tell us some of your venues?
Yeah. Being an athlete, starting out as an athlete, I understand the value of practice. And a lot of comedians watch a lot of comedy, and I watch comedy as a younger, but as I've gotten into it, I don't watch as much, and I focus more on practicing. So I'm at the local area open mics, or whatever city I'm in, I do the open mics. Memphis has P&H, it's a local spot that's been doing comedy for a while, every Thursday night. There's other places around Memphis. I've hosted my own place. I was at a Bartlett Comedy Spot. I used to host an open mic there. One of Memphis' only comedy clubs at the time. Like I said, God has blessed me to have these different opportunities where I was able to, show my skills and work on my craft. So, I'm on stage at least 4 or 5 times a week at the minimum. So, some nights, some weeks, 7 nights. Last week I had 7 nights. So it's just about going hard at what you love, learning as much as you can, staying focused. It's a lot of sacrifice.
So when you started in 2009, you from then on this is all you do full time?
This is what I do. I have other, as I say, hustles, because I don't feel like your income can be limited. I think you have multiple. You need multiple streams of income. Most people don't know I'm a licensed massage therapist. I went to school. 2009 is around the time I was graduating from massage therapy school and becoming licensed, so I have that as what I do, but I don't really mix my businesses. I'm not at the point where I share, hey, I'm a comedian and I'm a licensed massage therapist. When you meet me, you encounter RobLove, the comedian, and I just kind of keep it like that.
Okay, very interesting. So what did you do before you started your comedy stuff in 2009?
We have family businesses. My family has a few service, concierge service. And my father passed away in 2009, and that was a big part of our catering section of our family business. And that kind of passed with it. You know, I can cook, my sister can cook, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of connections and a lot of the lines that we had. It was unexpected. So you know, that part of the business didn't recover.
So tell us about the very first gig that you ever did with comedy. How did you get that? How did that happen? And did you what was your experience? Can you share that with us?
Okay. Memphis has a lot of pros and cons. And you know, you might hear a lot of the cons, but there are a lot of pros. Starting in Memphis and doing comedy, you meet veterans, you meet Funny Man Prescott, he's been on BET, Def Jam Comic View, comedian Sale, Chestnuts, other comedians who were welcoming me in, VMAC. And these guys allowed me to get on shows and do shows. And when you're first starting out, you don't necessarily do a show to get paid. You do a show to get experience, get exposure, you know. And I was doing a number of shows, getting exposure, and eventually I started getting paid.
So at first you were doing it, I mean, for no money at all.
No money at all. It's experience. It's learning, again, about the craft. You have to learn your audience. You have to learn your market, who you're targeting, and then with comedy, the spontaneity of it is you don't have the same audience all the time.
Right.
You know, if you challenge yourself, if you don't want to just be urban comic, if you just don't want to be a mainstream comic, you want to have a number of different, a broader audience. And you know, you try different groups. So, you know, it's just continually staying on course about focusing on the craft, getting as best as you can, becoming as good as you can, getting as comfortable as you can being on stage. And then again, the opportunities to make money will come. You know, again, I think it's about, in anything you pursue, having a supplemental income, but you need flexibility where you can have control of your schedule in order to pursue what you need to pursue.
Yeah. So, do you do shows just locally, or do you travel across the U.S.?
I travel across the U.S. I've done stand-up, the diversity show in Dallas, Texas. That was with NBC.
Wow.
I was on a web series in Atlanta with comedian Pierre and my guy Reggie Jr. from Memphis.
Okay.
So I've been able to expand and you know, broaden my horizons a little bit. But here locally is where I've made my name so far.
Yeah.
And I've been able to work with D.L. Hughley. He's a king of comedy.
Yeah.
Been able to work with a lot of number of people. Red Grant. This is just Melanie Camacho. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
Donnell Rollins, Ashley Larry from the Chappelle Show. You know, I've been able to work with these guys here in Memphis because Funny Man Prescott presented the opportunity for me, and not only presented the opportunity, but my work ethic, my consistency, my job, my grind, my focus, you know, allowed me to be ready for when I was tapped on the shoulder.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty impressive how, especially in the world, like I Googled you actually, there was a lot of stuff coming up. You were popping up for everything, you know, it seems like locally at least. Yeah. Even nationally, I didn't know you were actually that far into it. That's really good actually. So speaking of money, what would you say your business model or your revenue, how does that actually work? Does the audience pay for the show and then the show host pays you, or how does that work?
Okay, well, as far as comedy now, there are a number of ways that you can build your business model. Early on, you now have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have Twitter, you have Vine, you have all these outlets to which you can touch more people than you could when other guys before me were coming in. So now having that wide range, you set up a website where you can sell your merchandise, you know what I mean, and you can sell the things that are appealing to people. You know, so I think that's one thing that's important for your business model is being internet savvy, being tech savvy, being you know, being up to date on what's going on, you know, nationally. Yeah. And if you can get one hit, if you can get one little spoof, one little parody that gets a million views on YouTube, and before you know it, then you know, you're getting paid for doing something you enjoy.
Nice. Very good, very good. So then we want to ask you, what are some What are some challenges that you face in your career so far as a comedian?
Great question. Challenges. Again, being a man of God, I feel like I was prepared for the challenges I was about to face. My previous experience prepared me for what I was about to do. Being an athlete, you know that it's some dedication that it takes to become, to get to the level that you want to get. If you're not willing to dedicate yourself, you're not going to see the results you want to get. So the challenges become, how much am I going to dedicate myself? How much am I going to sacrifice? How much am I not going to party? How much am I not going to sometimes go to work? You have working opportunities and you have a mic. If I have, a big name celebrity, big name comedian in town, and I have an opportunity to work, I may have to choose this opportunity to be with this big name celebrity to get my name further out there, to build my reputation further, and then rather than get money, so it's just a lot of sacrifice. You have to make that choice, and that's just one of the things. Most difficult challenges is choosing not really fun, because my family sees me less. My friends, my brothers, my sisters, we don't party, like I was partying when I didn't have this focus, this drive. So I think it's a amount of giving up things that you enjoy, things that you love, in order to stay focused on what you want to do. And sometimes it's going to present a real conflict, But if you're a positive guy, and I'm a positive person, positive human being, I think that you presented with the opportunities to enjoy life, enjoy what you're doing, and get a little bit of both. It's not going to be a max on either end. If you're sacrificing, you're going to hurt by sacrificing, but you're going to gain by what you're giving up. So just trying to find balance.
Yeah, those are some very good points actually that you made. That's one of the things I think, to some extent, anyone who ever transitions from like a corporate setting into maybe like a entrepreneurship setting, I think you have to go through that point where you're kind of like, you've got to keep your main hustle going, because it's what feeds you. You have to have something on the side rolling until your side hustle becomes your main hustle, and you kind of make that transition. But until then, it's like you were saying, it's really hard. It's really hard to be an entrepreneur and do things on your own when you can't even, when you're having to struggle for rent and that kind of stuff. So you're gonna have to do that balancing act, which I think is not easy.
Yeah, I've seen, I've heard stories, Brian McKnight, and other guys who were at the end of the rope. And there was a choice: do I jump back into the water of normal, or do I continue to pursue my dream? And when you continue to pursue your dream, sometimes when you seem like you're at rock bottom, that's right when you're about to bounce up and start. So it's hard to give up. It's hard to, I was already at a place where financial things and personal possessions weren't the main thing of life.
Right.
And once some people gain that enlightenment, that if you see people coming up in the daily life of jobs they hate and being around people they despise, then that kind of curbs you from wanting to be in the corporate world. So I really didn't want to be in the corporate world or be stuck, confined and be in a box or cubicle on a clock. And I respect anyone who does it, because I think it takes a certain amount of sacrifice as well. So
it does,
I just applaud people the way they're going through their life, and I pray that they find some kind of peace and happiness in their path.
Yeah, important point, definitely. So, what are some milestones that you plan on reaching, let's say within the next year or so?
Wow,
next couple of years.
It's getting close to my time, and it's awesome that God is blessing me in the way that He has. Like I said, I was just in a web series. Unexpectedly, I had an opportunity to be in a web series with a person that I watched growing up, and for things to change so fast in such a fast amount of time, I know how blessed I am. So, with that experience, I was able to be a part of casting. I was able to see how casting is done. I was behind the scenes as well as had a little time on the camera. So I learned a lot in a short amount of time, and I'm applying what I've learned. My guy Reggie Jr. and I have formed a Love Junior production company, and we are shooting different shows and pilots and different things like that. So we're just trying to expand. We're not trying to be just comedians. We're trying to be writers. We're trying to be, creators, executive producers.
Gotcha.
My main drive is being on stage though, and developing material and jokes that make people laugh, feel comfortable laughing, enjoying life, and then continuously building my fan base and a true fan base. Not you can buy fans on Twitter, you can buy fans on Instagram. I'm talking about people who generally want to hear from me.
Are interested.
Exactly. And then, from that I plan on continuously branching out, products and everything else.
Gotcha. Interesting. Very nice. So the last part of our segment that we want to talk about is the idea of this show is really to encourage young people to start their businesses. Even just my personal experience, I started out just like a regular person, went all the way through college, and the first thing I did is I started looking for a job. Just the thing is, like, a lot of people don't understand that that's not the only route you can take. There are other options out there. Just even starting off as a freelancer, I think it's something people don't look into. Anyone can go onto Craigslist and start searching for some of this stuff, or like you said, set up a simple website and say, here's a service that I provide, would you want it or not, and pick up the phone and start calling people even. Instead of, struggling for a job when they can't find something, they get despair and things like that, and just kind of say, oh, I guess I'm not good enough. When you kind of start your own thing. But anyway, so the last thing that I wanted to ask you, Rob, is the idea of the show is to kind of encourage young people to start their own businesses. We want to be able to a lot of people go through college and they figure out, that once they graduate, for example, it's hard to find jobs nowadays. Even with really prestigious degrees, the jobs really aren't there. And so I think that's a good opportunity for a lot of people to start their own business, but they don't have any kind of training. They don't teach it at school. They teach you how to be an employee, not so much an employer. Everything you look at it, even if you get an MBA, it's almost like a bad thing nowadays if you want to be an entrepreneur and you go into the MBA routes, because they're teaching you so much on how do you follow instructors, how do you work for them. So I want to ask you is, as an entrepreneur, as someone who's started, kind of been doing your own thing for a while now, if you were to share with us the 5 most important things, 5 most important skills that are needed to be an entrepreneur, what would you say to us?
The first one is belief in yourself.
Okay.
You have to believe in yourself or believe in what you're selling, what you're going to do. Yeah. Because a person who doesn't believe in themselves is not going to relate to people who are genuine, real. You can sense when somebody knows about cars. You can sense when somebody knows about whatever they're trying to get you to, buy. I think number 2 is sacrifice, dedication, focus. You have to really research, and that's number 3. Research what you want to do. Research your target market. Research who you're going to be reaching out to. Know everything you can about what you get involved in. I think 4 is expecting delay. A lot of people get in business and things expect a quick turnaround because, it's a great idea. I know everybody's going to jump on it, but that's not necessarily the case. Be patient. Be prepared for delay equals be patient. And number 5 is don't quit. The thing is that it's going to feel like you want to quit. It's going to feel like you should get back on the horse and get back into the market, get back on, And I again say, don't lean on one aspect of life. Don't just put all your eggs in this basket. Even though comedy is all I go hard for, I still have other means of income. So I'm saying, don't quit. Comedy is my focus. I sacrifice my other things for comedy. And have, like I said, it goes back to sacrifice. I just want to encourage young people, especially those who go straight through college, that you go through college because that's what you're told. And I don't knock it. I applaud the parents for doing, what they were told. But times have changed. So if you go through college and you get to a point where, now what do? I encourage you to pursue your dreams. I encourage you to pursue whatever makes you happy first.
Yeah.
And recognize that material possessions are what the world wants you to focus on. The car, the house, the clothes, what you have on. Those are not things. It's the person who's inside, the person who finds happiness. On the inside. So.
Yeah.
if they didn't want to hear that part.
I know, right? Well, let's get over like a little bit. Yeah, under the umbrella.
Help. If we can stand up, can we stand up?
Yeah,
for this
sure,
last
sure,
one?
sure.
No problem.
Yeah.
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 So, this is good.
Yeah.
I just want to encourage young people to live early. You know, don't wait and have regrets.
Okay.
Don't look back on your life and say I should have tried this. I should have tried to be an entrepreneur. I should have tried to become, something I thought I could be.
Yeah.
Go for it early. One thing I had in the back of my mind is that if I failed at my dreams, then I would always fall back and become a firefighter. Have a plan, have a backup plan. But I chose to go for my dreams early versus late. So if it comes down to it and I need to get in the workforce, I will. But I don't see that for my life. I see that I'm going to continue to make people laugh. I'm going to continue to be blessed and bless others financially as well. So just shoot for your dreams, and that brings a peace that finances can't bring. There's a lot of rich people, a lot of people who work daily to provide for their family who are completely unhappy.
Yeah.
And so it's not all about money. It's not all about what the world makes you want to believe it's about. It's about peace inside and giving yourself to another man, another person, another human being, and the world grows and prospers from that.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, at least the way I like to think about it is, there's a pretty popular saying is time is money. I don't believe that personally. I think time is much greater than money, right? Because you can, well, I mean, what do you do with money ultimately? You use the money to spend time in a certain way that you want to use. So if you're doing something that you're not enjoying, it's just not worth it. What are you going to do with the money? That's a really important point. I really like that. The last thing I want to ask you is, if people that have heard your story want to get in touch with RobLove, the comedian from Memphis, what's the best way that we can get in touch with you?
Okay, I'm on social media, RobLove Funny, Instagram and Twitter, comedian RobLove on Facebook. Okay. I'm expanding, I have a website, different things that's coming up, so I'm just in the process of progress.
Okay.
So if you can't find me in any one of those places, you'll hear from me soon.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm on the grind. I'm coming to a city, state, country near you.
Okay, sounds great, Rob. Thanks again so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, man. This is a great show. Yeah. Especially encouraging young people to do something positive and think outside the box, because it's 2014 and it's time to think differently.
It is. You're right.
Keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Thanks again so much, and likewise,
There was no comedy in this bit, though. It was so serious. They won't even believe I'm a comedian, but just check me out.
They'll search you on YouTube or something. We'll find out. Thanks.
All right.